Hello and welcome to the Pan Global Resources Exploration Update. I'm Jason Mercier, Vice President of Investor Relations and Communications for the company. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hear about the significant progress the company has made in 2023 to bring the Escacena Project up the value chain. Participants will be muted during the call, but are encouraged to write questions in the chat for management to address following the presentation. Also, some investors have sent us questions in advance for which we will provide answers. Please note that this call is being recorded and playback will be available through the corporate website at panglobalresources.com following the conclusion of the webcast. I would now like to hand the presentation over to Tim Moody, President and CEO. Tim?
Yeah, thanks, Jason, and welcome everyone. It's been a little while since we've held one of these webinars, so we'll look to hold a few more of these on the back of some future news releases. So anyway, without further ado, I'll sort of give just a very brief update on what we're doing and where things are at, but then mainly comment about the news release we put out at the end of last week. So just, firstly, I guess that a few things haven't changed. We think we have an important discovery in a great location. We have an excellent land package with the right team to take the project all the way through to production if that's where we end up. We are an exploration company first and foremost, and I think with the team I've got, we have the right group to make additional discoveries, and if there's something there to be found, I'm confident we will find it. Anyway, look, it has been a pretty tough year. We're in a bear market. We've had a very structured and quite a detailed marketing program through the year, which has attracted some new investors, some new institutions, and so on. But it is a tough market that we're operating in at the moment. We're doing all we can. I just up front, we've been drilling now continuously for nearly 2.5 years, which is some achievement. And we've also not needed to raise money since mid-2021, and that was after we completed hole number 40 at La Romana. So we've now completed 160 holes at that prospect. It's continuing to grow. We've continued to de-risk that project, and it's moving closer and closer to becoming a resource. So, as many of you know, we've been using gravity as one of our primary tools for targeting. We are target rich. We've got many targets that we haven't tested yet. Our original discovery was testing a gravity anomaly called La Romana, and just recently we got access to a big farm that covered a large portion of the area that we hold in what we call the Escacena Project. And we've been intensely exploring that ever since we got the access. And we are currently drilling on the western half of this gravity target at an area we call Romana West, which we should have some more news out on very soon. We've also, as you all know, we've been recently drilling at Cañada Honda in Escacena, and we reported those results at the end of last week. We're very encouraged with what we've seen at Cañada Honda, and I think we're could be onto another discovery like La Romana, but early days yet. Romana's probably a home run. We're probably at first base with Cañada Honda. So, as I said, the news last week was really just focused on the latest drilling results at Escacena and Cañada Honda. And the highlight really was the results from the 3 follow-up holes we did at the Cañada Honda target. Each of those holes have hit mineralization, copper, gold, and silver. And importantly, each of those holes had 3 different objectives. They were testing different geophysical features. Hole 5 was testing a gravity anomaly. Hole 6 was testing a downhole electromagnetic conductor anomaly. And the third hole number 7, was testing an IP resistivity low. and each of those hit mineralisation. But the most significant results were associated with the gravity anomaly, and I'll show why we think that's significant in a little while. But importantly, every hole we've drilled at Cañada Honda so far has been hitting copper, gold and silver mineralisation at grades and thicknesses that could potentially be mineable. The results at Sarcita were less successful. We did define a pretty extensive and thick alteration zone, but we've just not been getting enough copper mineralisation over the thicknesses that would really get us excited at this stage. There's still targets to be tested there. The potential remains, I think, at the moment looks best around the old mine workings. But at this stage, we think we've got better targets and better places to spend our money, in particular at Cañada Honda and at Romana West, where we're currently drilling. So this is a modification of the cross-section that we put in the news release on Friday through Cañada Honda. We drilled holes, we announced the results for holes 3 and 4 earlier this year. They were drilling, and both those holes hit copper and gold mineralisation, notably a sort of a copper-gold intersection in both those holes with grade increasing down dip. We also intersected some gold in the hanging wall as well. So the 3 holes that we planned as follow-up of this included hole number 5 shown here, which is about 150 metre step down dip from the previous drilling. That's quite a big step in these types of ore bodies. And then hole 7 down here was nearly 200 metres step further down dip again. So far, all those results have shown the copper and gold mineralisation continuous over nearly 600 metres of dip extent, and it's completely open both down dip, but particularly along strike as well. We're getting intervals of sort of 5 to 10 metres of copper and gold, roughly 1 to 1.5% copper equivalent if you combine the two metals. So that's pretty encouraging at this stage. And then the hanging wall mineralisation, the gold that we're intersecting, seems to be part of a stacked vein system. And again, we're getting intersections of sort of 5 to 8 metres of 1 gram or better, plus multiple other narrow intersections. So very early days, and very wide space drilling at this stage. But we clearly have mineralisation coming to surface, and it seems to be pretty shallow and extending at depth. So at this stage, we see it as still as an open pit target and potentially no underground mining target. So just looking at a bit more detail here, this is a cross-section showing the same drill holes again, and importantly, hole number 5, which we reported on Friday, was targeting this gravity anomaly. It's the first hole that's tested the gravity target, and it's hit our widest interval of copper mineralisation, 20 odd metres of mineralisation in that hole. And that's really encouraging, and really gives us room to believe we could be on to something quite significant. The plan view on the right here shows the locations of the drilling so far in the cross section, which is right at the eastern end of this sort of big gravity anomaly here. So indications are that the grade and thickness may be increasing in the direction of that gravity anomaly. And given that all of this is essentially untested at the moment, and seeing the coincidence of the copper and gold mineralisation with the gravity in the drilling we've done so far really has us excited and makes this a very high priority target for us for future drilling. So those results were very significant at this stage. All right, so just quickly on the other place we're drilling at the moment, which is our highest priority target at Romana West, where we're targeting the western extension of the La Romana discovery, the copper tin silver discovery. The red here is the 0.2% copper grade shell. The mineralisation comes to surface in the south, dips very favourably to the north. It's very continuous. It's not folded or faulted up or anything. And the reason we haven't put out a resource at this stage is because we really don't know how far it might extend. And since getting access to this area over here earlier this year, we began a pretty intense exploration program, and we're already drilling. So we've just completed about 10 holes so far across the fence. There's the fence just here. And we're getting progressively moving closer to where these old mine workings are, which coincide with a gravity anomaly, which is untested at this stage. So, yeah, we're pretty excited with what we're seeing at the moment. We can see the mineralisation seems to be continuing in that direction. And, yeah, we should have some results to report very soon. So I guess just to remind everyone, we continue to de-risk the Laramana discovery. We've got copper, tin, silver mineralisation. We've still got metallurgical test work underway to check the tin, but the initial indications look quite attractive. We don't have any deleterious metals or minerals to worry about. The metallurgy we've done on the copper shows excellent recoveries. It's coarse grain relative to what the other mines in the area are producing. That's very good news because it means you don't have to crush and grind the ore as much, and that reduces the energy requirement as well. So, and then you add to that, it's a very simple geometry. It's potentially ideal for an open pit, and it's in an area of excellent infrastructure. We're surrounded by other mines, and in Europe. In Europe, copper is on the critical minerals list, which is going to provide a range of other benefits for us going forward. So, yeah, we're continuing to move this forward. You'll hopefully, once we've drilled off the western extension and at Ramana West, we can then look to put out a resource. But in the meantime, we're quite advanced with our other studies, cost studies, block models, and the metallurgical test work I mentioned before. So at the beginning of the year, we set out a number of sort of potential catalysts that we thought would help with the share price, and we're ticking off those. The metallurgical test work on the copper mineralisation provided some excellent results. Very, very good recoveries. As I said, no deleterious minerals, etc. We also were trying to get access to the extensions of Laramana, and we managed to get the land access agreement with the farmer to the west. We're still waiting for access to the east, where we have another big target called Bravo, and I'm still optimistic we'll get access to that before long as well. We also put out some more excellent results at Laramana as well earlier this year. And, as I mentioned earlier, we're continuing to drill new targets, and we've got a lot of other targets we haven't tested at this stage. So, and we've got the metallurgical test work for the tin to come in the next month or two, and looking forward, if we can continue to drill off the western extension at Laramana, we could be looking at putting out a resource sometime in the next year, in the following year. So. All right, I'll leave it there, Jason. Perhaps go to some of the questions that have been asked.
Sure, Tim. Thank you very much for that. We've now concluded the formal presentation, and we'll go to the question and answer session. We received some investor questions in advance of today's update, and we'll answer those first, followed by questions that have been posed in the chat, which is at the bottom of your screen. If we are unable to answer a question you've posed, we will reply to you following this call. The first advanced question that we received was, can you explain the potential of the untested portion of the west of Cañada Honda? You have some grab samples of up to 9 grams per ton gold. What does that mean to your geology team?
Yeah, so as I showed in the diagram earlier, in fact, if I go back to that. So the significance here is that hole 5 is the only hole that was targeting this gravity anomaly. And gravity, as I've mentioned, is a really effective exploration tool in this geological province because many discoveries have been made by directly drilling gravity anomalies. So it was very encouraging that we got the thickest intersection coincident with the gravity anomaly. And the other important thing spatially is that big gravity anomaly here could be indicating, the mineralization getting thicker and stronger or continuing in that direction. So clearly the drilling so far is just on one end, on the eastern end of this feature, and it looks to be getting stronger as we go to the west. Now, the significance of the rock sampling, well, we got up to 9 grams gold here in some surface sampling along strike from the old mine working off to the west of it. And we got some other samples of a gram gold and thereabouts. So the combination of both the soil geochemistry, which is showing a copper and gold soil anomaly, as well as the rock sampling, are indicating that we've got copper and gold mineralization coming to surface or very close to surface. So so that enhances the potential for an open pit possibilities at this target. So we think the mineralization may come closer to surface off on this eastern end, and then dip towards the west or follow this western trend. But it's very early days at this stage.
Great. Thank you, Tim. That partially answers the next question, which was, is there potential that the mineralization at Cañada Honda moves shallower to the west? And I don't really know if that's the case, but.
Well, it looks like it is probably shallowest to the south and to the east, based on the information we've got at the moment. And maybe just dipping or tilting towards the west, coincident with this big gravity anomaly.
Okay. Next question was, how many holes have been drilled at Romana West? Are there more holes for any other targets that remain outstanding?
Yeah, so we've completed now about 10 holes at Romana West. We announced a plan for 20 to 25 drill holes, which is about 6,000 meters of drilling, which would test about 500 meters along strike from the previous drilling in the western direction. So we've completed about 10 of those holes. We've got, as of today, I think we've got now results for about 6 drill holes. So we'll report those results very shortly. And then we're waiting for the results of the other 4 holes that have been completed. And drilling's ongoing. So we're continuing to progressively move from east to west with the drill rig, and continue to try and show or test the potential for the mineralization to continue in that direction. So we've been drilling in here, and we're moving towards the west, towards these old mine workings. Okay, next question, Jason.
Yes. So the next target on the priority list is which?
Yeah, so at this stage, our highest priority target is obviously Romana West. We see that's offering the greatest certainty for the La Romana mineralization to grow. That's the target that's most advanced. 160 drill holes completed there before we started the program, the drilling at Romana West. So we're now up to about 170 holes on that target. The next target, which is Cañada Honda, at this stage, those results, those particularly from that follow-up drilling, are so encouraging. I think we could be onto another potentially significant discovery. As I say, early days yet, but given the track record of testing gravity targets in the Pyrite Belt, not every gravity anomaly will be an ore body, but it's still a pretty effective tool. And in this sense, we've got direct evidence now of copper and gold mineralization coincident with the gravity. So that's the next priority. And then we have a number of other targets which remain pretty high on our list. And some of the exploration we've been doing this year on targets like Pozo and Barbacena, those targets are looking very good. They're not quite ready for drilling yet, but getting closer to it. And there's the large target we call Bravo, which I mentioned before. I'll bring it up again. This big target's the only area in the whole property package that we don't have access to at the moment. given that that target is seemingly a long strike along the same geological trend as La Romana. We have a few other indicators like electromagnetic anomalies and so on. This being a pretty prominent gravity anomaly, this is a high priority for us as well. These are some of the others, Pozo and Barbacena. Both of those look very good. I should also add that some of the other detailed gravity work and geophysics we've been doing surrounding Romana West have also shown up some pretty intriguing satellite targets that I think are going to warrant drill testing as well.
And thank you very much for that, Tim. So with Cañada Honda obviously moving up the level in priority behind the La Romana and Romana West, at Cañada Honda, there appears to be higher levels of cobalt. What could that mean for the project? Is it something you plan to research? What are payable levels of cobalt for a project like Escacena?
Yeah, look, the cobalt numbers are quite interesting in some of the results we've been getting at Cañada Honda. At this stage, we don't really know where the cobalt resides, what mineral is hosting the cobalt. So cobalt is quite notorious in terms of being it can be refractory. In other words, it can be very difficult to recover depending on what mineral is hosting the cobalt. So yes, we will investigate that with some petrographic work and other studies to see if the cobalt is something that might be recoverable perhaps in a copper concentrate. So it's a bit too early to talk about what it might mean from a commercial perspective at this stage. But the numbers are certainly elevated, and if it does report to a copper concentrate, then it could be a valuable addition.
Great, thank you. Tim, last question in the advanced questions we received before going to the questions in the chat from today. In your last quarterly report at the end of April, you stated you had $6.1 million of cash on hand. What is the ballpark estimate of how much cash you have on hand now, and how far will that take you on drilling Romana West?
Yeah, well, we'll be reporting the second quarter pretty soon, probably by the end of this month or thereabouts. So I think we're sitting at around 3 million thereabouts. So we're very advanced in terms of our drill. We're halfway through the drill program at Romana West, so we have about another 3,000 meters to drill there, and we'll continue with the program. We're on plan, on budget at this stage. So after a pretty aggressive first half of the year, we're continuing to drill at Romana West within the plan.
Great. Turning to the chat now, question from KE, and you've addressed that around the current cash position. What are the alternative means of financing that the company has looked at, and are you keen on monetizing by way of a royalty or stream? And then there's a second question below that, but I'll let you answer that one first.
Yeah, look, it's it will be no surprise to people. We eventually need to raise money, but we have been in that fortunate situation that we haven't needed to raise money for over 2.5 years, which has been allowed us to do a lot of work. But look, we've been looking at a range of options. We've got confidentiality agreements with a number of parties. We've considered things like royalties and so on. I think with the one thing I'm very conscious of is not to do any transaction that would decrease the attractiveness of the company and decrease the value of the assets we've got. So at this stage, selling a royalty, whilst it might have some appeal, I think it's too early to be looking at that. Selling a royalty might be helpful when you're trying to build a mine or something like that, but if you've sold the royalty, then that makes I think the company less attractive at this stage, particularly if we end up in a takeover situation. But we thought about things like joint ventures. We've had offers of joint ventures and so on. But again, I see that as not offering the best value in terms of financing for the company at this stage. But we'll continue to investigate all possibilities at this stage. We've have had some offers of funding at this stage, but yeah, we want to make sure that the terms around that are something that are good for investors as well.
Great. And then I guess in relation to that, when talking to your neighbors, what suggestions do they have pointed out in order to create synergy with them to do M&A?
Yeah, look, we know all of the producers in the area, and we know and get on with them well. So we've had some discussions. Look, but it's still very early days yet. We haven't obviously put out a resource, but clearly, yeah, with a new development right next door to us, with Grupo Mexico looking to recommence mining at Los Frailes, which I can just point out on the picture here off to the east of us. Yeah, that may bring some synergies to the area. Obviously, we're down the road from Las Cruces as well, and we're within 40 kilometres of 4 other mines in the area as well. So, look, there is potential for synergies for sure, but it's a bit early to be really sort of testing those fully at this stage. But certainly, there's been some discussions.
Great. Another question from KE. Previously, there have been suggestions that La Romana itself will have the potential to be 40 or 50 million tons. If the drilling campaign in Romana West achieves the kind of success you envision, what will be the target tonnage potential? And will that meet the size potential that is desirable to have potential M&A acquiring in the future?
Yeah, look, I think given the interest we've received already, I think the M&A, the interest in M&A is already there. I think with what we've already found so far, without Romana West, has the potential to be an economic deposit as an open pit. So anything additional that we find at Romana West, we'd hope is just increasing the value of the asset and increasing the value of the company as well. So, you know, it's still a bit early, but I think it still remains, I think, a feasible target to get 40 or 50 million tonne. We've certainly got the space to do it. The size of the target is there, and then if we find mineralisation in one of these other targets that we're testing, like Cañada Honda, then that makes that target of sort of 40, 50 million tonnes being even more achievable.
Great. And from Jim McLean, can you comment about the shallow potential at Honda, which I think you have? At what depths are you seeing encouraging mineralization at Romana West?
At Romana West, well, we've been hitting mineralization from immediately beneath the cover. We know that the copper mineralization comes right to surface. So, yeah, it looks like at this stage the copper mineralization is continuing in the direction of the old mine workings, and we know from the ground inspections of the old mine workings that it comes to surface there as well.
And I guess last question that we see in the chat from Jim McLean is any comments about the vision for Aguilas?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that, Jason.
Oh, sorry. Any comments about the vision for Aguilas?
Yes. So Aguilas still remains an interesting target for us. It's more lead, zinc, and silver. At this stage, because of we're in a pretty sluggish market, we've decided to keep our funds focused on Escacena and more importantly on those targets where we think we have the best chance of success at this stage. So and with the least amount of risk. And at the moment, Romana West and Cañada Honda are the top priority for that reason. But Aguilas remains an attractive target, different commodity mix. We think there's good potential there for 2 or 3 discoveries on that target.
I guess second question, any update about Al Andalusa?
Al Andalus?
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Al Andalus was something we completed the acquisition of must be nearly 2 years ago now. So it's part of the Escacena mineral package.
Great. Okay, not seeing any more questions in the chat. Of course, anyone can send follow-up questions to Tim or I after this, and we're welcome to meet anytime. So that concludes the Pan Global Exploration update for today. We are excited by the progress of we've made to date at Escacena as we advance to the west of the La Romana mineralization. The promising results at Cañada Honda discussed today offer additional upside, along with more than a dozen other targets to test. Management is available for one-on-one meetings with current investors to provide more details on specific areas, as well as introduce Pan Global to potential new investors. If there's someone you think we should meet and who you think we should hear about, the best near-surface advancing, expanding copper discovery in a stable mining jurisdiction globally, please connect them to us. If there are any topics we have not addressed today, note that we plan to hold group update calls in future as news warrants, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you all for attending. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.